This was the biggest wax removal I think I've ever done, or certainly I've done it in a long time. My name is Rhys, Barber. I'm one of the audiologists here at Audiology Associates. Thanks for watching our video today. What you can see here is a very, very dry type of earwax. Now, this patient suffers with some psoriasis in their ear canals, which causes their wax to go super duper dry. Now, bless them, they normally come through really regularly, but they haven't been able to get to us. This is in about 2 years. So this is going to be pretty full. There's going to be a lot in here to deal with. So what we can see first of all is where this really dry wax is in. It's formed almost in layers, but it has gone rock solid. I did wonder whether we may have to get this patient back for a second visit looking at this, but we do manage to get it all out. Don't skip forward yet, but make sure you stay tuned for the ruler shot at the end. It is immense. I was shocked when I lined it all up as how much actually came out. So we can see we've got the Jobson horn in here. The reason I'm using the Jobson horn for a lot of this removal on manual tools, so curettage tools, which is the name for manual tools, is because it is just so tough. It is tough as old boots. So it doesn't really respond particularly well to suction. Suction is great at getting these smaller, hard pieces out, but when it's all kind of bound together and hardened up together, you need a little bit more force behind it, which is what you can get with a manual tool. So I'm nipping over the top of this wax plug, and you can see that the Jobson horn there is literally just scraping off the top of this this plug here, but it's all starting to break down. We're loosening it up with this manual tool. We're just getting a little look at the lay of the land there. I've popped some olive oil in. Now, when the wax gets this hardened up, it is really difficult to get the oil to penetrate in. So I'm using it more here as a little bit of almost lubricant, if you like, for the ear canals, just to sort of coat the skin of the canal wall. So when we do get behind this and start to pull it away, it is actually going to start to move. So we're switching up now. We're using the St. Bart's hook here. We found the Jobson horn really just didn't do a lot. It couldn't get in and penetrate into this wax plug. So I'm using the St. Bart's hook down the side of the plug here just to move some of these sort of more lateral pieces, these pieces towards the outer portion of the ear canal. Move these forwards a little bit. There we go. You can see I'm trying to get behind it. Now, the only downside then of the St. Bart's hook is you've got that quite narrow 90-degree bend. It's great for getting into little nooks and crannies and twisting and pulling out the little hook, but not so great if you're trying to pull bigger chunks, because you tend to find it runs either side of the chunk rather than bringing it all down in one piece. So I've switched back up now to using a little bit of suction. So we've loosened with the St. Bart's. We're going in tidying up with the suction, which gives me an idea of what's loose and what still needs to be loosened up. And we're back in now with that St. Bart's hook. We've got behind this front section. There we go. Out this is starting to come. You can really see it breaking these bigger chunks off here. So lots of in and out with different tools on this one as well. Guys, don't forget, if you do enjoy the videos, you can always like, heart, share, follow and subscribe for me. That would be absolutely fantastic. We'd love to get new subscribers on the channel as well. If this is your first time here, hello, welcome to the channel. If you have any questions, by all means pop them into the comment section. I've got to say, I think we have the best community on YouTube. They're all really supportive, guys. Well, on any platform you're watching this on, actually, guys. But we have a really, really good supportive group. And if you pop a comment into the comment section below with a question, somebody on there will answer it for you, even if I don't get to do it myself. So don't be afraid to always ask questions. Everyone's there to help, so you understand what's going on. So we're just getting this big old chunk here at the front. We're just getting this pulled forwards. There we go. You can see the suction tube is really holding on to it. I'm giving this a little bit of a wiggle, trying to work this plug down the canal here, but it stalls. It's because it's all so kind of firmly bound together. You can see I'm really wiggling in this. That's all it's doing is crumbling these front pieces off. So back in with the Jobson horn. Sorry, guys. There's so many different tools in this. I keep forget which one I'm using. So this is the Jobson horn. So we're going in beyond it. We've literally just flicked that piece into the bowl of the ear canal there. We're going to go beyond again, just to try and get behind where this is attached a little bit further into the canal. There we go. And we've pulled that next section forwards by pulling that one. So if we can scoop this bit out as well. There you go. Out that one comes as well. You can see just how dry it is. I'm struggling even to pick it up here with the Jobson horn. I can't even penetrate into it, so I'm going to kind of just get underneath it and lift it up. Now, there were loads of little bits starting to come out, so what you will see me do in a minute is just go back in with a bit of suction just to take all these looser tiny pieces that fall into the bowl, which is this part of the ear here, the outer portion of the pinner. So we're just loosening working our way around the outside edge of this deepest, most section of plug. Let's get all these looser bits out. There we go, another piece gone. There was so much in this ear canal. It's just absolutely beyond. It was just, I put in the title, I think it was shocking amount of earwax, just because it really surprised me. Because when you're taking it out, you're spreading it all over the paper on the table. You don't really think about how much it's all going to be when you line it all up, but it was just a huge amount. So we're just going in now. There you go. Behind this last section. Now I've managed to pull it upwards here, but because it's so angular, when I started to move it, the patient was finding it a little bit uncomfortable there with the St. Bart's hook. So I've gone back in there with a suction, trying to roll this last chunk forwards. You can see how much this is just fighting me. Every millimeter of this ear canal, this wax is fighting me to get out. Trying to move it forward. Now we can see now we've got these kind of almost 3 blocks that are very loosely held together here. So I'm going to try and get behind, I'm trying to work into the gap in between them all to hook onto it. There we go. So that's pulled it forward slightly. Let's see if I can hook around the back of this one. Now watch as this comes out, because you'll see it kind of, what I mean about these 3 pieces, they almost kind of unfold from one another. There you go, as it comes out the ear canal. So it was all very loosely held together, this last plug, but where it was compressed into that really small space, those pieces were just resting on the top of one another. Last little bit now. Now this is really firmly attached up here, so we've got to gently pull this. This is actually just above the eardrum, so just above the pars flaccida, and we're just peeling this down. You can see the dryness to the canal. Dry canals usually have this very mottled appearance to them. You'll get these little white lifts of skin, which is what you can see just underneath this last little bit here. So we're just going to pull this down. Look how that was adhering to the canal wall. You can really see these little epithelial, thin strips of epithelial skin just holding on to that last little bit of plug. There we go, out that comes. Eardrum looking so much better. And then we take a look at the other side, and it is exactly the same on the other side as well. Just absolutely chock-a-block. If anything, I think there's probably a little bit more in this ear canal. Now, as soon as I put the suction tube on, look how that just crumbles. It just falls apart, these tiny little pieces all breaking away. Now, don't forget, when the skin inside the ear canal is migrating out, there's this thing called epithelial migration, the skin moving from the deepest part to the outermost part of the ear canal. As it's making its journey along the canal, I sound like Richard Attenborough there, but as it's making its, David Attenborough, not Richard Attenborough, as it's moving its way along the that sort of ear canal wall, what you're getting then is it's starting to dehydrate this epithelial layer, and then the skin cells then have this higher concentration of keratin in them, so they start to harden. So what you end up with then is this really tough old layer. Now, with somebody with maybe psoriasis or eczema inside the ear canals, you'll get this flaking of the skin, and that's what's forming this plug. Look how matte that plug is. This is old wax and skin mixed together. Sometimes it almost looks like somebody's put a smattering of glitter over the top there. You'll get these really shiny particles in there as well, with the light just bouncing back from the endoscope on there. But that's what causes it to crumble, is all these tiny little flakes are all binding together, and that's what's happening here. So we've got the St. Bart's hook in there again. There we go, working its way down. Just pulling that front section away. Look how this is coming away now. We're not getting these solid blocks. What we're getting is these sort of thin, crumbly layers coming away here. Almost like little sort of really crumbly cornflake kind of consistency, or that brittle. If you put a bit of pressure on it, it snaps or it crumbles down really easily. And you can see we were struggling a little bit there with the St. Bart's hook because it was crumbling. It was just pulling straight through the middle. Now what we've got now is a collection. I did say this earlier. You've got a collection in the bowl of the ear there. So we're picking all these little bits up. You can see just how many came away there. And now we can just go in, tidy up, get rid of some of the looser sections. And this helps me to identify the biggest part of the plug, the hardest part of the plug to work on next. So we're lifting from the bottom. There we go, up. That is starting to lift. There we go, out that comes. And then we can really start to see this piece of the left-hand side here looks quite loose, but it's still quite stuck to the canal wall. It's a bit mobile, but I think this back section of it is still really adhering to that canal wall. There we go, out this is coming. Oh yeah, sorry guys, if you do have problems with your ears yourself, whether that be wax problems, it might be a hearing problem, you might be interested in hearing aids, because we don't just do wax here guys, we also fit hearing aids as well. We offer free 2-week trials to patients, so if you want to try out a hearing aid before you entertain the idea of buying anything, come along, book yourself in for an appointment and come and see us. But check out the link tree in the description. You can actually reserve appointments online now. You can phone up the girls, the lovely girls on the desk here will clerk you in as well. They're absolutely fab. So whichever way you want to do it, make sure you get yourself booked in. Lots of people sit on ear problems and hearing problems. They're afraid to get anything done. Guys, don't be afraid. We're really lovely people, and honestly now, it's better to address these things earlier if you can. It makes a massive difference. That's all I'll say. But this last bit here, we got behind this big old plug. We're trying to pull this down. As it's moving forwards, it's breaking down, it's crumbling down again. There we go, over the top of the St. Bart's. Lots of people say I talk too much as well, guys, in the videos. I have loads of comments. Fair play. People are normally just like, there's a mute button. Yeah, don't be afraid. I really, honestly, guys, if you don't really want to hear what I'm saying, you don't want to hear me voicing over, hit the mute button. It's really simple. You don't have to listen to what I'm saying, guys. It's really interesting. You know, I'd love you to, but if you don't want to, by all means, hit that mute. So we can see now we're getting to this last little bit. There we go. Pulling this forward. Let's see if we can get behind with the St. Bart's hook. I'm really hoping we can get behind. There we go. Just dropping behind that top section. And nice big chunky piece just came away. Can we get above? We still can't see the back end of this plug. And because it's mixed with skin, you get these dry epithelial layers surrounding it, which means it's really difficult to see past the plug and in between where that epithelial layer lies and the top of the plug starts. So we're back in now with the Jobson horn. There we go, pulling this forwards out. Look at that, all coming away really, really well there. Out, that's into the bowl of the ear again. Chunky old pieces, these. Got a little section there to the right hand side. Now that's quite a thin section. Now we're starting to see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. It looks as though we're getting to the end of this plug. My back was in bits by this point, guys. You imagine you're holding your arms up there. I think it took nearly 30 minutes to get all of this out of the ear canal. Obviously we condense it down, we take all the gaps out when I'm talking to the patient. But look how much just came out in the bowl of the ear there. There is so much collected that you saw from the manual tools just dropping into that particular portion of the ear canal there. Look at that. There we go. And let's just start taking these front sections away. It still looks like there's loads in there, doesn't it? There's absolutely tons in this particular ear canal. The patient couldn't get over the difference it made. They know themselves, you know, when their ears are starting to block up. And they said, in fairness, that was happening probably about 18 months ago. But just because of circumstances, they just couldn't get here. A lot going on in their personal life, so they couldn't come in. But what we can see now is just how much is actually accrued in that ear canal. So I've popped a little bit of olive oil in, just because this last plug looks like it could be a little bit problematic getting this one out, just because of how well it's formed to the shape of the ear canal wall. So we've put a bit of oil in just to lubricate that canal. Let's see if we can lift from the bottom. We're going to get some movement to this deepest plug now. The front is still crumbling away. You can see the color difference. That darker section, that's the one we want to work on. That is the main bulk of the plug. Is sitting almost right down on top of the eardrum. So we just need to get that loosened up a little bit. You can see I'm probing it here for anywhere I can get some movement. I'm almost trying to sort of just roll it forwards, trying to get it away from the drum there. It's just not budging. It is just anchored into place. That layer of dry skin around the outside edge is really holding onto it. So I've got a tiny gap. So I'm going to exploit that now. This is with the Rosen inserter, much thinner than the St. Bart's hook, allowing us to get behind it, literally just behind that plug, and roll him down. There we go. It's rock solid. Out. That has finally come. I think this was the last of it. There might be a couple of little straggly pieces, but you can look at the color differences in there. Those really light patches, which is where you've got this epithelial layer. Oh my goodness, look at this. Right down against the eardrum, we've got this thick layer upon layer of dry skin. It's almost sort of keratosis obturans-y kind of layers there. This kind of... I described it to a patient the other day. It's almost looking like a wax lasagna. So what you have is these almost, imagine like your pasta layers in there, with kind of waxes the skin or the keratin. You've got these layers of wax in between. That's what's happening here. So I'm just using, sorry guys, I've just spoiled it. Garfield now is rolling in his grave. But what you got here now, you can see this last layer we've got to get away. I've completely smothered it in olive oil. But look how it peels from the eardrum. You can see how that epithelial layer, don't forget, it's formed in the center of the eardrum first. And that's what was hanging on to it. We've got this last bit here, out that comes as well. My goodness me, patient hearing so much better. But look at this sneaky little bit. Doesn't look like much. Watch this. Look at that. And that's one of those layers of skin we were talking about earlier. But eardrum looking so much better. Look at that. That is, I think that is the biggest one. You guys will let me know in the comments. 13.5 centimeters. What is that in inches? I'm going to say, what's that, about just under 5.5 inches worth of earwax and skin. That is huge amounts coming out of that one particular patient. Woo, guys, that was a long one, the voiceover. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed that video as much as I did voicing it over. Sorry if I did talk too much. But as always, guys, make sure you like, heart, share, follow, subscribe. Ear problems, check out the link tree in the description. As always, guys, take care of yourselves, take care of your ears, and take care of one another. And I'll see you again real soon. Bye, everyone.